So as we do every week, we look at the brand new Switch games coming out. And this week, I have singled out 8 new titles coming this week that I think deserve some extra attention and deserve to take the time to look and find out if they're going to be good games. By the way, if you think I've missed any games for this week, leave it down below in the comments of the video, or let me know in the chat if you're watching this live, and we can possibly check out those games as well. But wait till the list is done to make sure your game isn't already there. Now, we're going to be doing this in chronological order from game coming out soonest. And if any of the trailers get muted, it's simply because the music was copyrighted and I muted the trailer following the release of the video. So without further ado, we are going to be starting with tomorrow, or today at this point actually, November 19th, with our first game, which is, and I'm going to try and pronounce this properly, the Touhou Spell Carnival, which is coming out on November 19th, as I just said, going to be selling for $49.99 for the regular game, or $69.99 for the deluxe pack with some extra content like sound and digital art books and things like that. Now, generally games with this kind of visual aren't necessarily my thing, but the gameplay here looks interesting enough that I think it deserves a further exploration. Now, I can't guarantee this is going to be a good game, but it definitely looks interesting. It is, I would say, like a very Japanese manga art style influenced game, but it's a fusion of a strategy RPG and a bullet hell game. So let's check out the trailer and see what this game seems to be offering. So as you can see, the one thing I dislike about the trailer, and that a lot of these trailers have, yes, there is a very strong focus on the chibi and anime art style. And it's very hard to tell about the gameplay. However, strategy RPG bullet hell did interest me enough that I was willing to go beyond the art style and say, like, hey, maybe there's a really fun and original art game here. And it's not that I have a problem with anime art style. It's that it's a very focus on young female characters, which is not necessarily the kind of game I always go for off the bat. Nothing wrong with that for anyone who loves that, but generally, let's be honest, we get a lot of shovelware games like this on the Switch, which is not my cup of tea. But this one seemed to have an interesting enough gameplay concept that it possibly could have a fun enough gameplay concept that it actually might be worth playing. Definitely check out maybe a few reviews or whatnot before, but I do think nonetheless it is actually worth for once seeing if this is going to have a really fun and original gameplay concept. As I said, we'll find out soon because the game is out now, November 19th. However, it is on the pricey end at $49.99 for the regular edition. So, like I said, maybe wait for a review or two. Okay. I'm not sure we can say much more about the game than that for the moment. So we're going to move on to our next title, which is also releasing this one on November 19th. However, this one is a very well-known title because it came out on other consoles last year, and that is Stray. That is going to be releasing on November 19th, and this game is going to be releasing for $29.99, or there is a pre-release discount for the moment at $26.99. Now, this is a game, an exploration slash, let's say, puzzle action game where you play as a cat in a futuristic city. My only worry here is how will it run on the Switch? But before that, let's look at the trailer, see what the game is all about, and then we will discuss it. So, as you can see, you play as a cat. You get separated from your family or stuff at the beginning of the game, call it what you will, and you're basically trying to get back to them through a violent and difficult city. I'm not going to go too deep into the storyline other than that because it is part of the fun of discovering the game. But basically, my worry here is the game going to run well on the Switch? Because I'm going to be honest, some of this gameplay looks very fuzzy. Okay? If you look at the scene, the gameplay looks very fuzzy. So two things can happen. The game is going to be at a much lower resolution, but runs okay. And it still nonetheless conveys the graphical art style that they were going for. Or number two, it gets so fuzzy at moments that it could actually detract away from the gameplay. That's where I'm a bit worried. Or it could unfortunately not run steadily at a good frame rate, but that would be really bad because this game has a lot of platforming challenges and sections, so it has to run smoothly. And the second thing that worries me is that it took them almost a year to port it to the Switch. Now that could be good news, but it can also be bad news. If it's good news, it's because they took the time to port it well and have a version that is running well on the Switch. That is if they did this, they were responsible. They didn't want to put it out in a bad state. They took the time they needed to port it well. Or number two, they had so much trouble porting it that they did what they could within a year and now they're pushing it out because, it's now or never. Okay? I do think, however, if there is a game that possibly could get a nice bump when the Switch 2 does finally release, this could be a very, very strong candidate where we might get a re-release with a version, or maybe just this version is going to run a lot better on the Switch 2. It is on the shorter end. However, it is like a triple I game. A triple I game is like the best of the indie games, and it was a game that was extremely well received. So I would say for a game that was rating by a lot of places for 9 and 10 out of 10s, paying $30 for a indie game, although I do agree I would love it to be lower, doesn't feel as much of a problem. However, once we can confirm that the performance is good. Okay, so I would say this one, wait for a performance review. If the game comes out running well, I would not be worried anymore. Now next, we have a surprise game for this week, and it is possibly one of the games I am most excited for this week. And it is coming out on November 20th. It'll be selling for $19.99. And it is called Amedama. And there is a downloadable demo on the Nintendo Switch eShop. And I've got to say, I'm extremely excited for this one. I really want to play it. And it's probably equivalent in excitement with our next game that's going to be coming after this. But I'm extremely excited for this one. Let's watch the trailer and hopefully you'll understand why I was so excited.
今宵語られまするはその激流にあらがった
It's Captain Ginyu.
魂の物語
Like, I find the combination of obviously the feudal Japan like type of setting with the body possession mechanics and the graphical style that fits super well with the action looks super interesting. And I'm almost wondering in this game, once you beat a boss, can you take the boss's body? Yeah, because look, it looks like you were controlling the boss right there. This is a long trailer, by the way. We've still got like a minute left. But I think it's worth it for this one to sell the idea of what the game's all about. I do not think I'll be streaming this for time purposes, unfortunately. Because Friday, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Which we've been waiting for a while. And it will not be on the list of releases because it's already out on the Switch, but the physical is coming out on Friday. And if I stream a game for this week other than Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it might be it might be the next game on the list. Okay? Just because I think that the next game would be a funner stream game. So, Amedama coming out on November 20th. I feel this game has a ton of potential. And you can try it for yourself on the free downloadable demo on the eShop. Now, $19.99 also does feel well priced for a game like this. It is on the slightly higher side of indie games, but it is still under, like, at that $20 mark, seems a fair price for a quality game. Is it going to be as good as we hope? The full game? Fingers crossed. Now, that is Amedama. So I hope you guys are excited as I am, because honestly, it looks really great. I love the concept. Now, the next game is another surprise game for this week. And when I saw it, I couldn't even believe who is actually publishing the game. Now, our next game is going to be coming out on November 21st. and it is Dynamo Flamefrit. And it's being published by Inti Creates. If you don't know who Inti Creates is, it is the company behind the Gunvolt series, amongst which. It is the company, like they've done more than that, but like probably most known for indie gaming is probably the Gunvolt series. They are very good at making indie games. Okay, they rarely put out a miss on the indie game wise, and even the games that I don't connect with, like Umbra Claw, still some people loved out there. So they generally know what they're doing. Now, what's insane is not only is this game coming out on the 21st, and not only is it being published by a respected developer, but it is only going to be selling for $6.99 at full price. And there is a pre-release discount of 10% for $6.29. Now, let's take a look at the gameplay. And I've got to tell you, I am extremely excited to try this game. I'm just worried that maybe its low price is because the game is going to be on the short side.
Burn bright! Flamefrit! Coming November 21st, 2024.
My soul's burning bright!
Yuto Hino and his friends have been summoned to the world of Polyguard. Roll, slash, and spin your way through enemies. Search for new allies on your otherworldly adventure.
We're practically inseparable!
Brave the world of Polyguard with the help of your friends' magic. Boss fights change the game as you switch to first person.
Strike them down, flame saber!
Like this oddly looks like the
Slice
Megazord
away
mode
at
in the
enemies
upcoming
when they get
Rita
close.
Power Rangers Rita game.
Flame saber!
Summon your allies in their divine dynamos to deal massive damage.
Surge up! Up with thee!
And like, am I crazy? Doesn't this look freaking amazing? And $7.
A fantastical adventure of magic and armor awaits! Divine Dynamo Flamefrit. Available November 21st, 2024. Inti Creates.
Like seriously, come on. Is it like, I hope I'm not the only one that sees this, but this game looks freaking great. Like if you like retro styled like top down action games, I mean $7 from Inti Creates, a respected developer. Like I when I actually saw the price, I like did a double take. I was like, what? Are you sure? Like I'm actually gonna recheck it right now. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's $6.99. It's insane. Like, I don't know. Maybe we're gonna play the game and there's a reason, but yeah, that's what I'm worried. It's that maybe the game's gonna be extremely short. That's where I'm thinking. Maybe we're gonna play it and it's gonna be like a 2-hour game or something like that. But even if it is $7 for a solid 2-hour game. You know what? I've played a lot worse than that on the Switch. The art style looks amazing. The gameplay looks very fun. This is honestly my heart pick of the week. Like, yes, am I super excited for Amedama, the previous game? But at $20, you are taking a risk if you don't like the style. I feel like at $7, this one is worth jumping into. And if I have time, this would be a game I would like to stream to see if it's worth it or not. Okay, so on to our next game. So we also on November 21st have another game coming out. We actually have quite a few. We have 4 more games on the 21st. And the first of those 4 games is, 3 more games on the 21st. The first of those 3 games is going to be Loco Motive, which is more of a narrative-driven adventure, a murder mystery game. Once again, though, the art style, the trailer, the storyline that they're selling in the trailer has pulled me in. Narrative games are harder to get a hold on from trailers, but this one has a interesting enough art style and presentation that I actually am interested. I'm gonna take a look at that Champ Dancer Shinjuku Sumi. It didn't hit me, but I'll go take a look after we were done with the 8 games I want to take a look at, and I might add it on the list for this week. Okay, let's take a look at Loco Motive. This one is coming out, as I said, on November 21st, and it's going to be selling for $17.99. Let's take a look at Loco Motive.
Welcome aboard the Royce Express, where my guests indulge in luxury travel, fine dining, and murder.
This was in a direct,
Well,
actually.
Who's at hand to catch my killer? There's my trusty lawyer, a would-be detective, and Her Majesty's Secret Service. There's just one problem. They're the suspects. With puzzles to solve, palms to grease, and clues to uncover, they'd better prove their innocence fast, or it's the end of the line in an adventure that's not just nuts. It's Loco Motive!
Yeah, it seems very based on the Orient Express. It does feel like it was based on the concept of that game, Murder on the Orient Express. Sorry, I closed that a little bit early. That was not my actual intention there. Sorry about that. Okay. But visually, the game has a gripping art style. I find like beautiful pixel art, gripping art style. And I feel like if you're into the narrative puzzle adventure games, I do feel this one is probably going to be delivering a pretty solid overall experience. The fact that it was shown in a direct, it rarely is. I do agree with you there, though. Psychosis Media at $17.99, the replayability is probably going to be very low. Because this is probably one of those games that once you've played through them, you know the puzzles and whatnot. So are you going to want to wait for a sale? Very possibly. Because I think that at 50% off, this can be an easy sale. Like when it hits that $10 or less price point, if it has a good narrative, the game is going to be an easy sell. At $17.99, you have to really be into the genre or just wait for a sale. Okay. So we are done with this one for today. We're moving on. Now the next one, I'll be honest with you, the next 2 games are like my long shots of the week. My long shots of the week is sometimes there's a game where I look at a trailer and the game seems interesting. But I do want to warn it could go either way, in the sense that if the gameplay is too simplistic and too I'm going to use a term that shouldn't even exist, but mobile-y or sort of like a mobile game, it's maybe not going to deliver a worthwhile experience. But I think it's worth taking a look and keeping an eye out for these games. And when I have a chance, I will definitely try them and come back like in eShop deals and whatnot when they're on sale to tell you guys if they are a worthy experience or not. And the first one of those games is Super Rolling Heroes, also releasing on November 21st for $10.99. Now, right away, this concept got me as a sort of modern take on Marble Madness, okay? And personally, I'm a person that I grew up playing Marble Madness. I like those type of games, and they are the type of game that sometimes I really would like a little pick up and play session of a game like that. And this seems like it will possibly be offering that type of experience. So let's take a look at Super Rolling Heroes Deluxe to see what exactly it is. You guys see what I get, what I mean? The sort of Marble Madness type inspired gameplay, or more modern, like the Kirby rolling game there that I forget the name of all the time. Tilt and Rumble or Tilt and Roll, something like that. Yeah, same thing here, Wild One. It looks good to me too. It could be a nice time killer game. Here's where I'm worried though. The visuals do seem like a mobile game. Okay, I did not check to see if it's on mobile. It could be. If it is, that's where maybe at 10.99 it's not necessarily worth it. Because if this is a mobile inspired game that releases at 10.99, you can guarantee yourself one thing: in a few months it'll get a big sale. It'll get close to that 199 price point or lower. Not lower, or like it'll be like 199 or through 299, something like that. However, and some of the level designs do look somewhat repetitive. That's why I'm saying it's looking like a mobile game, because like, you know, unlocking a lot of characters, levels that seem very similar in design one to another, yet different at the same time. It looks like it could be based on a mobile game. But at the same time, if you like this kind of time killer and you haven't found a Marble Madness type game, this could be a very worthwhile one for this week. Like I said, wait maybe for a review or a synopsis for someone who does for me, or someone who does an eShop deals video. But I do think it is one that is worth at least mentioning for this week. Next, we have my second long shot game, which is Rescue the Beagles, which has a odd name, but this is the gameplay concept really took me by surprise when I watched the trailer, and I'm like, you know what? This could actually work as something really original. Now, this one is releasing on November 21st as well, and it'll be selling for $9.99. So let's take a look at Rescue the Beagles. So it's an arcade style game, but as you can see, you move through the foreground and background of the level. Now, the trailer is maybe a little bit too frantic, and the problem is the words are going over all the action, and we can't see the action properly. So for whoever made this trailer, less words, let us see what's happening. Because you did yourself a slight disservice with the way the trailer was made. Because I find that the basic gameplay concept of basically being able to switch between levels of the foreground and background is really interesting, and I love the simple arcade style to the game. It's sort of like, it reminded me of like Adventure Island, but rather than obstacles like coming onto you on one line vertically, they're coming onto you on the foreground and background and foreground. It's hard on the eyes because of all the flashing words. Like I said, I don't know why the person put these flashing words that glow in different colors. It is extremely straining and difficult on the eyes. Okay? But if you look at the gameplay, and I had to watch it 2-3 times, the gameplay itself looks very interesting. Okay? So keep it on the back burner for the moment till we get an idea if the game is good when it comes out on the 21st. But nonetheless, don't discount it completely because the trailer was made weirdly. And I wanted to say that about whoever made the trailer. Flashing so many words in front of a person's eyes is actually causing you a disservice. This is way too busy. Let your game speak for itself. Okay? But nonetheless, we have Rescue the Beagles, November 21st. I do think it's worth keeping an eye on. Now, last, but definitely not least for this week, we have Spirit Mancer, right? Yeah, Spirit Mancer, coming out on November 22nd. And this one will be selling for $19.99. Now, this one looks extremely interesting. I would say on my list of games for this week, it is like third in line for level of interest. So let's take a look at Spirit Mancer, and you'll get a better idea of the gameplay once we've gone through the trailer. I think you guys are going to say this is a Maple game. It does look like a Maple game. Run and gun shooter or melee run and gun. It's not really run and gunning if it's melee. Yeah, it seems to be a card fighter roguelike with a city builder, because you seem to be building a hub town or world when you come back from your adventures. And I love these boss designs here at the end. They look freaking awesome. Now, obviously it didn't come out on November 7th, but there is supposed to be a demo on Steam. It is coming out on November 22nd, as I said, $19.99, which feels like a fair price for this game. No joke, if it can deliver on the action it's showing here, once again, $19.99 feels like a fair price for this game. And we will find out, but visually it looks stunning. It looks like a really, really good overall potential game. I'm going to say it that way, because obviously we always need for the game to come out, validate that the action holds up, performance holds up, and that it overall all gels together properly. A good night, Psychosis. Thank you for stopping by, my man. But yes, I do think that these are the 8 games to keep an eye on for this week. Obviously, some I think have slightly higher potential than others, but these 8 stood out to me. Now, we are getting into a quieter time of the year where there are less and less releases, but nonetheless, I do think it's still important to take the time to check it out, to check out the eShop every week and pick out those little gems here and there. Topaz is also very excited for the game. She's come to see the end of today's video. So let me know in the comments down below what you think you're going to be picking up. And like I said, did I miss any games for this week? Let me know in those comments down below. As usual, thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope I'll see you in my next one.